Don't you think that cheating is a character flaw? Like, instead of lacking in the relationship, something lacking in the relationship, something lacks within them.
Yep. Yep. We do have to understand that sometimes people just make excuses for unexcusable behavior.
Damn.
Many times it is a problem within themselves.
That's why I never that's why I'm saying it's so hard for me I really want to get into acting because it's so hard to just be, okay, cry.
I have an agenda. I do have an agenda. Yes. To make sure that women heal, that's the agenda. So yes, I am going to hold women accountable because I am a woman and I was once broken. So the agenda is to get women out of their brokenness by seeing themselves and seeing how they're causing their own emotional suffering. So toodaloo, if you have to tear down another woman to build yourself up, you are not a woman's woman. If you have to talk about another woman or make her lose opportunities because you're afraid that she is going to outshine you, you are not a woman's woman. If you're telling a woman to do something, things that you know for a fact you would never do, like selling her morality, trying to make her operate outside of her integrity, seek revenge on people, and you know you're not even built like that, but you're encouraging her to do so, you are not a woman's woman. If you play nice nasty, you are not a woman's woman. If you smile in a woman's face and you talk behind her back, you are not a woman's woman. If a woman's confidence and security in herself makes you insecure and you do things to break her self-esteem or to break her confidence, you are not a woman's woman. If you are constantly projecting your insecurities, fears, anxieties, worries, pains, hurt on another woman, hoping that she'll adopt those same things so that way she can be the company to your misery, you are not a woman's woman.
Hey, so it is your favorite big sister, Kenya Nicole, with all my love. I mean, with all of my love, okay? And, I wanted to get on here and talk with you guys a little bit about the controversy that I'm witnessing, that we're all witnessing, I'm sure, when it comes to the very popular relationship podcast, Tonight's Conversation. Okay, I am a big fan of the Tonight's Conversation podcast. I really felt like the Tonight's Conversation podcast was really for the culture. It was what we needed. It was in-depth conversation. We were really getting somewhere. We were discussing the things that we really needed to discuss. You know, those hard conversations. And holding one another accountable. Because that's what Own Your Shit podcast is about. Those hard conversation topics where we basically own our shit. Where we hold one another accountable. And we're not just, we're not victims. We own our role in whatever capacity that we need to own our role. And so with the Tonight's Conversation panel speakers, it's a lot of dialogue and dialect with you taking responsibility for when you choose to ignore red flags when dating, when you are choosing to put yourself in situations where you shouldn't put yourself, when you are, maybe perhaps even making naive decisions when it comes to matters of the heart. So no one could have told me that Mad Day was coming. Because what I'm witnessing feels like Mad Day. In the beginning, it felt like, oh my God, Here goes another failed black business. You know, I'm looking at it from a business consulting standpoint, where it just kind of felt like maybe they didn't have their business shit in order when some of the surface things were being said. But then once I started to follow Keita Rose in some of her storytelling, my discernment and my intuition said, there's more to this than meets the eye. But because we are also a culture of people, whether we like it or not, we are a council culture. And the first sign of who controls the narrative, the first person to tell their side of the story, and it sounds believable, it has the most engaged bullshit, we are gonna jump on the bandwagon with that individual. Keita Rose is saying that it is not a hurt people situation, but sis, I need you to own that shit. You are hurt, and it's okay that you are hurt. If it was just about you not being paid and things of that magnitude, I could have easily seen you filing a lawsuit, holding Ace accountable, taking Ace to court, you know, taking legal repercussions toward Ace regarding the money. But you've gone on a whole smear campaign. And the fact that you've gone on a smear campaign, it says a lot, because now it's more about, since I can't monetize with you, and I help build what you decided to excommunicate me from, I'm gonna monetize, but I'm also gonna make sure that I destroy it. Because here's my thing. If Ace was doing all of these things, why expose it on Mad Day? You witnessed this. But if Mad Day didn't come and you were not excommunicated from the cast, we would not have known about any of this. If, you know, Rosina, did I say her name correct? The one from Detroit. This took place with her. We didn't hear from Keita Rose when this took place from her. However, once Keita Rose had her Damascus Road experience with being excommunicated from the platform, then she teamed up with her, and they made a video saying that they were together going to tell the story. And so we were all waiting for them to come together to tell the story. However, Keita Rose began to tell her TikTok series and titled it, "Who the Fuck Was I Working For?" as a parody to Who the Fuck Did I Marry? Which further told me this was more about going viral and creating more of a smear campaign. And not so much about the pain of not being properly treated as a team member. Because if that was the case, legal ramifications. Okay, let me put my fruit down. And I'm going to tell you what I believe took place from a business standpoint. This is me putting on my business development, business consulting hat. What I believe happened is Ace had a beginning vision. He didn't have a structured vision. He had a beginning vision as to what needed to take place, which they were just going to have conversations about relationships, sex, the struggles of relationships, the cycles that we go through, right? So he wanted to bring in willing participants that had followings, those that had followings, and those that had influence, and those that could hold a conversation, and those that had, intellect, dialect, and that had some type of intelligence, emotional intelligence, and that could hold the room and hold the conversation. He found those individuals. They began to have those conversations. They grew a fan base. They grew this fan base. Now, although they grew this fan base and the fan base grew, there was no evolution when he just kept the same people on the stage. By keeping the same people on the stage, it's like he's recycling the conversation, because there's no evolution of knowledge, because the people on the stage are not enhancing from the perspective of, if you go back and you watch a lot of the videos and they're going from city to city to city, it seems like they're recycling the same conversations. So he's bringing in specific experts, people that are a little bit more detailed in information and knowledge and specific training, people that have, training to deal with trauma, those that have a little bit more expertise with, marriage and counseling and things of that particular nature. He brings in Cheyenne and things of that nature. And we see him kind of doing a little mix up and switch up and kind of keeping some of the familiar faces on the stage. And so I read the release that he posted and said it's like Saturday Night Live. My thing with that is he basically did not take care of his veterans, and that's where he fucked up at. And because he did not have something in place to reward those who helped build him to this maximum, those who helped build him from this maximum momentum, i.e. the Keita Rose, i.e. Trip Fontaine, he didn't have anything for them. There should have been something strategic to break them off into their own sectors. And because he did not have that, and he treated them like, okay, you're no longer useful to me because I've used you to the point of where I no longer need you. I need someone who's a little more high value than you now. So now I'm disposing of you. Now that you've gotten me here, and I'm looking to elevate higher, and you can't take me higher. He Shunny O'Neal Henderson, your services are no longer needed. And he created a Keita Rose experience where, who the fuck did I work for? And I'm not going to say that there are moments where he probably didn't pay as he should. I think there are moments where he didn't pay on time. And we're seeing exaggerated expressions of he didn't pay on time. And there were delayed payments. Because why not address this in a legal standpoint? You get what I'm saying? Because I know how we can be. And I love us. All shades of us. My chocolate, melanated people. But I know how we can be. And I know how we can be delayed paying us. Okay? And because he has treated these people as though they have low value, he's creating this problem for himself and treating himself as though he's the star player. He's creating this problem for himself. Now, do I believe Keita when Keita is saying that he's sleeping with certain women? I'm not going to say that I believe her when she's saying he's sleeping with women that have come, that are on the panel. I do believe he's probably sleeping with women in the audience. But if he's a single man, he's a single man. Now, Keita exposing it because Mad Day has come, I think that's a little shady. But he should have a level of integrity, because at the end of the day, you guys are working together and you guys are work colleagues. And you need to have a level of professionalism, because at the end of the day, there are certain things that you should not know about one another. We need to stop always mixing business and pleasure and thinking that because we do business together and we spend a lot of time together, this automatically makes us friends, because this doesn't automatically make us friends. Because when people start getting way too interpersonal with you and start knowing too much of your personal business, and then things like this happen, and then they think that they are way too interpersonal with you, and then they do things like this. So whatever goes on in your personal life, people that you're their boss, they should not know your personal business. Okay, Ace? They have no business knowing your personal affairs or whatever it is that you do as a single man. They had no business knowing that about you. Okay? My second thing is, I saw the video of where Keita Rose shared, I think it was an old video of Kitty J. Rose. And it was something of her sharing her thing of her sexual innuendos with men, or with a man that she may have had in the past. My thing with that is, I don't know how old that video is. But this is a prime example of, I totally get Eminem in the movie 8 Mile. Remember when Eminem came out and he did his freestyle and he talked about living in a trailer park, and he talked about his baby mama, and he brought up Haley, and he talked about his mama, and he talked about his mama and how they viewed his mama, and people thought his mama was trash, and he talked about being poor. He brought up all the shit that he knew his op would try to use against him. I believe in this branding of Kitty J. Rose that too much time was spent on wanting to brand her as an expert, that whoever advised her on branding her as an expert did not take into consideration that it was also important to humanize her. As I was stating, they spent so much time on branding her as the expert that they should have utilized her backstory, because her backstory would have humanized her and made her relatable. It would have shown a lot of the healing work. So now they're going to have to use a crisis manager to come in and do some crisis management and do some rebranding for tonight's conversation if they desire to move forward, because these are people who are conversationalist. So this is a conversation that is going to have to be had. This is going to be something that will have to be addressed. This is not something that they're going to be able to just brush over and ignore. They cannot pretend that Keita is not talking. They cannot ignore what Keita is saying. And the more they allow Keita to control the narrative, the harder it would be for them to revive tonight's conversation. And I believe tonight's conversation is great for the culture, that it is great for relationships. This would be a good thing to show the growth, the shedding of what happens, even in situations as such as this. Keita Rose showed his relationship with Derrick Jaxn. Even Derrick Jaxn, he lost some followers, but he still has a following after the controversy that happened with him. So it's about being able to take accountability. You know, this is about being able to take accountability. And Ace Metaphor, if you just happen to see my video out there, I am a business developer. I am a business strategist. You need to call me. You got yourself in this situation because how you handle business. And maybe you are a great conversationalist, but not a great businessman. You need to give me a call, because had you had something in place that allowed them to be able to branch off into something that would have allowed them to feel like what they built with you was a win-win, where the pie was being cut in such a way that when it was time to divide the pie, it looked like everybody got the big piece, where it did not look like they spent all this time helping you build your dream. Everybody on that platform with you that helped you build the momentum for your empire should have been able to branch off and do their own thing. You could have kept tonight's conversation as a corporate conglomerate and allowed them to branch off into their own divisions, and kept yourself as a 5%, 10%. and allowed it to be 90% theirs and 95% theirs and 5% yours. I mean, I'm gonna give you this for free. Trip Fontaine could have been tonight's conversation, tripping with Trip Fontaine, and it could have been tripping with Trip Fontaine in Cancun, and that could have been something with Trip Fontaine, and Trip could have put together what he wanted, and it could have been people being able to go to Cancun with him, and it could have been, tonight's conversation, Keita Rose, whatever you wanted to do, whatever it was that Keita wanted to do for Keita Rose, and it been a Keita Rose thing. You understand what I'm saying? And it could have been something that was their thing. But to have them build this beast of a brand with you, and then get so big and make all this money off of their influence, keep them at this low pay rate, and expect them to continue to show up, not provide marketing, and all you give them is a table for them to bring some product. Like you hustle man on the 5th floor. Yeah, you can't do that, Ace. I'm on the outside looking in, but I see. I've attended a Tonight's Conversation live podcast, and I'm on the outside looking in from a business consultant standpoint, and I'm looking at what y'all were doing, and I'm like, and I can see all the bleed points, and I'm like, this ain't being ran like it needs to be ran. Even the VIP concept, I'm like, ain't nothing VIP-ish about this VIP experience. Yeah, so you need to call me. I'ma tag him in this video. Y'all need to tag him in this video. Moving forward, you need somebody like me. You do. You stick to conversation. Yeah, you stick to having the conversations. You don't need to try to run the business. That's not your thing, okay? You need to call me. They call me Kenya the Business Builder for a reason. You need to call me. Yeah, 281-810-3169. Yeah. Or send me an email, hikenya@kenyabuildme.com, because you about to run this in the ground. You wearing too many hats, trying to do too many things yourself. And it's getting out of hand. Because Keita is not playing. And if you don't get your grips on this soon, she's going to LA Fire tonight's conversation. All right? Okay.